Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfics. This will be the continuation of Spirit. This will be Part 5, Chapter 5, entitled Purple. Izuku grows and starts elementary school, learning more about his quirk and getting to know his parents better. By the time Izuku is 8, his parents are teaching a UA along with being pro-heroes, and Izuku is immensely proud of them. Oboro is still hanging around, and Izuku really feels like the ghost is an older brother to him. Over the years, Oboro's helped him learn a lot about his quirk, and they also practiced spirit possession. When Izuku was small, and Oboro had stepped into the argument between him and Kachan, they realized he briefly possessed Izuku for a moment. While his parents didn't want him experimenting with possession, he and Oboro work on it in secret. It's late at night, and Izuku's sitting on his bed, Oboro sitting cross-legged in front of him. They've decided to try a slightly longer possession tonight, seeing if Oboro will be able to move any parts of Izuku's body. Okay, I'm ready, Izuku says, relaxing as much as he can. Oboro nods, leaning forward and touching Izuku's hands. An icy cold feeling runs through Izuku's veins, and he feels something in his head. Whoa, Oboro says, only the word comes out of Izuku's mouth as the ghost settles inside of him. You still conscious, kid? Yes, Izuku tries to say, but his mouth won't move. It's sort of like he's sitting in the passenger seat, watching someone else drive his body around. Oboro moves Izuku's arms, clenching and unclenching his hands. You're a tiny little dude, Oboro laughs in Izuku's voice. Are you ready for me to try and walk? Yes, Izuku thinks again, and he figures Oboro can hear him, because Izuku feels his body stand up and walk over toward the mirror on the wall. Izuku and Oboro both gasp when they look in the mirror, taking in their appearance. It's Izuku's face and body, but his hair is wispy and glowing, the normal green replaced by the color of Oboro's hair. Izuku's eyes are a bright, shining white with no pupils. He looks a little eerie, and he hopes he won't scare his parents too much. Well, let's give this a shot, kiddo, Oboro says, Izuku's mouth moving and saying the words. It's all very strange. Oboro opens Izuku's bedroom door and heads out into the living room, where Aizawa and Hisashi are curled up on the couch watching TV. You two were always such lovebirds, even back in our first year, Oboro smirks in Izuku's voice, making both of them turn around in shock. Shit, Aizawa curses when he takes in Izuku's odd appearance. Oboro waves with Izuku's arm. Yep, that's me. Izu and I are practicing the possession part of his quirk. This isn't hurting him or anything. You know I'd never put the kid in danger. It's really nice to actually talk to you two, even though you're both old as fuck now. Hearing the word fuck come out of their 8-year-old's mouth does something to Izuku's parents, and Oboro moves Izuku's body over to sit down in front of the stunned men on the coffee table, swinging his legs. You better not swear like that around Izuku all the time, Hisashi says once he's snapped out of his shock. He's just a kid. I know, Oboro grins, leaning back and laughing. Man, this feels weird. Izuku, you doing okay, buddy? Yes, I'm fine, Izuku thinks, although this situation is extremely weird. Cool, Oboro grins before looking a bit more seriously at Hisashi and Aizawa. Listen, guys, I don't know why I'm still here. Izuku's been trying to help me figure it out for years. Something's just kind of holding me here, you know? Neither of us can figure out why. I just wanted to talk to you guys and tell you that as long as I'm here, I'll protect Izuku, okay? I promise. Oboro. Aizawa's voice cracks, his eyes filling with tears. God, fuck, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry I let you die. Sho, Hisashi says softly, reaching out to rub his husband's back. Izuku's heart aches watching his dad cry, and he can feel Oboro's complicated emotions. Hey, Sho to stop, Oboro says, hopping off the coffee table and walking over, squeezing Aizawa's arm with Izuku's small hand. It wasn't your fault, okay? It was the villains, not you. Nothing about that day was your fault. Izuku's head starts to ache, and an odd, cold sensation pulses through him, and he gasps, fully gaining control of his body again. Oboro was floating next to him again, and Izuku leans forward, exhausted as he presses his head against Aizawa's chest. Izu? Hisashi asked, rubbing Izuku's back. Is that you? Are you okay? Izuku nods shakily. I'm just tired. After he and Oboro figure out how to properly use spirit possession, Izuku practices with him a few times a week. Eventually it gets to the point where Oboro can stay in Izuku's body for about 15 minutes before they both run out of energy. They push it a little bit too far a couple of times, and Izuku sleeps for nearly 12 hours straight after those sessions. Izuku sees other ghosts too, and has a lot of interesting conversations with them. Every time he goes for a quirk counseling appointment, he talks with Kenji the poltergeist, always intrigued by him and his ghost cat Merlin. In the park, Izuku meets a little girl with a red jacket and rain boots who's very scared and shy. After playing with her a couple of times, Izuku realizes she's a ghost too, and he comes to find out she's a murder victim. That had been difficult to explain to his parents. Izuku's only 8, but he feels a responsibility to the ghosts he communicates with. Kenji is bored, only having Izuku to talk to. The little girl in the park is sad and lonely, so Izuku plays with her when he can. And of course there's Oboro, who Izuku constantly forgets other people can't see. He has a reputation as the school weirdo, and while no one actively bullies him, people tend to avoid the kid who talks to the air. Kachan mostly keeps the other kids from picking on him, but it's still a bit hard to make friends. One afternoon after school, Izuku's walking home past the park when he sees a very obvious ghost sitting in the park. The ghost is dressed in very old clothes from hundreds of years ago, and has a gruesome scar on their face. The dead giveaway they're a ghost, though, is that they're hovering 2 feet above a little purple-haired boy, who's sitting in the grass looking a bit sad. Izuku walks over, Oboro walking silently next to him. He's about 90% sure the purple-haired boy is alive, so he walks over and introduces himself. "Hi, I'm Izuku," he says cheerfully, the other boy looking up in surprise. "What's your name?" The boy looks a bit surprised that Izuku would bother talking to him before he says quietly, "Hitoshi." Izuku sits down next to Hitoshi, trying not to look at the ghost floating over Hitoshi's head. He's come to realize it unsettles people when he stares off apparently into space, not to mention when he talks to people they can't see or hear. What are you doing out here?" Izuku asks quietly. "Shouldn't you be coming home from school like me?" The ghost over Hitoshi doesn't say anything, but they do shake a little violently, and Izuku instantly knows something is wrong with the other boy. He wonders if this ghost is Hitoshi's guardian spirit, in the same way Oboro is Izuku's. Not everyone has a guardian spirit, but Izuku's noticed over the years with his quirk that he's not the only one with a ghost who follows them around. "I don't go to school," Hitoshi says quietly. "Not anymore." Izuku's curious. "Why not?" Hitoshi winces, staring at the ground. "I don't want to talk about it." "Tell him," the ghost over Hitoshi whispers, their voice sounding strangled and a bit warped. "Tell him, foolish boy, he'll help you." Izuku can't ignore the ghost anymore, looking up at it. Excuse me, but what's your name? And why are you hovering over Hitoshi like that?" Hitoshi's eyes widen in surprise, and Izuku sees Oboro shake his head and sigh. The ghost turns to stare at Izuku, its face a bit unsettling. Izuku can see that it's a woman, but her eyes are gone and her body is see-through, indicating that she's probably been a spirit for a long time. "You can see me?" she asks, her voice echoey. "Yes, I can see you," Izuku says calmly, seeing Hitoshi just staring at him like he's crazy. "I can see all sorts of ghosts and spirits. Are you Hitoshi's guardian?" "Yes, my name is Hayumi," she says, moving closer to Izuku. "I am Hitoshi's ancestor. The child is in pain. Can you help?" "Yes, Hayumi-san," Izuku says respectfully, before turning his attention back to Hitoshi. Sorry, I know that probably looked really weird. I know you might not believe me, but I can talk to ghosts. You have a guardian spirit named Hayumi. She says you're in pain. Can I help you?" Hitoshi just stares, blinking a few times before he says, What? Izuku sits patiently, looking over at Oboro, who just shrugs. "I can talk to ghosts. There's a ghost who says you're in trouble." "Oh." Hitoshi blushes, looking both confused and fascinated. Okay. Well, I guess the ghost isn't wrong, but it's kind of a mess. Are you sure you want to get tangled up in it?" Izuku nods. "Yes, I want to help." Hitoshi sighs, running his fingers through his hair. "Well, my quirk. It's called brainwashing. If someone answers my question, I can control their thoughts and actions. After I got it, my parents, they didn't want to keep me anymore." Izuku's heart hurts for the other kid, looking at him sadly. "What happened to you?" Hitoshi winces, looking down at the ground. They, abandoned me. I think they moved out of Japan. I've been kind of homeless ever since. Oboro curses, looking very unhappy as Izuku's heart wrenches, moving over to hold Hitoshi's hand. You're all alone? Izuku asks quietly, and Hitoshi nods with a sniff, his eyes filled with tears. Izuku has a very determined look on his face, standing up and offering his hand to Hitoshi. Come on, Izuku says firmly. Come home with me. My dads are pro-heroes. They'll help you. We'll find you a place to stay, or you can stay with us. Hitoshi looks stunned, but he takes Izuku's hand and Izuku begins to lead him home. Izuku notices with interest that Hayumi has vanished, and it's just Oboro with them now. So, you see ghosts? Hitoshi asks. That's really cool. Are there any around here? You said I had a guardian spirit. Izuku nods. Yeah, but she left. I think she knows you're going to be okay now. Hitoshi looks at him with an unreadable expression, and Izuku just takes his new friend's hand, leading him down the road towards their apartment building. So, your parents are heroes? Hitoshi asks quietly as they walk. Which ones? Izuku considers if it's safe to tell Hitoshi the truth. Oboro doesn't seem anxious or worried, though, so he decides just to tell him. Prism Mike and Eraserhead, Izuku says, not missing how Hitoshi's jaw drops. Really? Hitoshi gasps. I mean, everyone knows Prism Mike, but Eraserhead is my hero. I've seen him on patrols and stuff before. He's so cool. Izuku beams, pulling Hitoshi along home until he makes his way up the stairs to their apartment, opening the door and leading him inside. My dads will be home really soon, Izuku says, setting down his backpack and taking off his shoes. Do you want a snack? Hitoshi's stomach grumbles as if on cue, and Izuku grins, leading Hitoshi into the kitchen. He grabs some crackers and fruit, putting them out on the table, along with some juice boxes. They begin eating at the table when Oboro glances at the door. Your parents are home, kid, he says, and Izuku's heart skips a beat. My dads are here, Izuku says to Hitoshi, watching his eyes widen. Come on, they're really nice. Izu, Hisashi calls. Did you beat us home again, kiddo? Izuku beams, pulling Hitoshi along with him before running straight at Hisashi and hugging him tightly. Hi, Dad, he says, smiling up at him. I made a new friend. An alive friend. This is Hitoshi. Hisashi looks over at the little purple-haired boy, his eyes softening a bit. Aizawa comes in next, and Hitoshi practically combusts when he sees his favorite hero in person, jaw dropping. Hitoshi says you're his favorite hero, Dad. Izuku smiles up at Aizawa, who looks surprised. Is that so? Aizawa asks, smiling at Hitoshi. Nice to meet you, Hitoshi. Are you a friend of Izuku's from school? Hitoshi doesn't respond, and Izuku runs over to his new friend's side, grabbing his hand and looking up at his parents. Hisashi and Aizawa have taken off their shoes and are looking at both boys curiously, concern in their eyes when they see Hitoshi's hunched form. Hitoshi doesn't go to school, Izuku says sadly, squeezing Hitoshi's hand. He doesn't have parents either, or a house. Can he stay with us? Maybe should have given them a little bit more time to ease into it, Oboro sighs, kneeling next to Izuku. They probably need more information. Tell them about what Hitoshi's parents did. Izuku nods, squeezing Hitoshi's hand. I met Hitoshi's guardian spirit, and she was really upset. Hitoshi told me that his parents abandoned him because of his quirk. That's why he should stay with us. Aizawa and Hisashi both look incredibly concerned, walking over to the kids. Hisashi gently pulls Izuku away from Hitoshi so Aizawa can kneel down in front of him, looking calmly at Izuku's new friend. Hitoshi, is all that true? Aizawa asks, and Hitoshi nods a little hesitantly. All right, Aizawa murmurs. Where have you been staying, kid? Hitoshi shrugs, shuffling his feet as he looks down at the ground. I, sleep under the slide, on the playground, and sometimes I have to, use my quirk so I can eat and stuff. Aizawa and Hisashi listen as Hitoshi tells them about brainwashing adults so he can use their bathrooms, showers, so he can eat. He makes it so they don't remember him afterwards, and he never takes more than he needs. When it's cold in the wintertime, he sleeps in shelters around the city and brainwashes police and other adults when they try to get him into foster care. After Hitoshi's done explaining, he has tears down his cheeks, and Aizawa and Hisashi both look like they're aching. Oboro looks angry too, flexing his fists and practically growling. Izuku just watches with concern, wondering what his parents are going to do. All right, Hitoshi, Aizawa says gently. Listen, we're going to help you. Izuku's right. We're going to find you a place to stay, and you're not going to have to sleep outside anymore. For tonight, you're going to stay with us. Izuku, lend him some of your pajamas. Hitoshi, why don't you go take a shower? We'll wash your clothes for you. Hitoshi mumbles a quiet, "Thank you." The next day, after having a sleepover with his new friend, Izuku wakes up to see one of his dad's friends in the apartment. Namuri, or the pro hero Midnight. Izuku's known her since he was a child, and he's always excited to see her. "Auntie Nem!" he gasps, running into her arms and letting her hug him tightly. "Hey, it's my favorite little spooky guy," Namuri giggles, rubbing Izuku's hair. "Now I hear you've got a new friend. I'd love to meet him." Hitoshi peeks out from the bedroom, eyes widening when he sees Namuri. He looks a little unsure, but Izuku holds his hand out, and Hitoshi walks over, looking up at all the adults with big eyes. "Hi, sweetie," Namuri says quietly, looking at Hitoshi. "My name's Namuri Kayama, and I'm the pro hero Midnight. My friends here say you need a home. We talked to the police and got everything sorted. If you want, you can come home with me. What do you think?" Wow, all of you are terrible at explaining things to kids. Oboro sighs from where he's sitting on the couch, making Izuku giggle a little, clapping a hand over his mouth. "Come on, give the kid a time before you ask him something like that." Hitoshi stares at Namuri in shock, his eyes wide. "Live with you?" "That's right," Namuri grins. "I've been wanting to adopt a kid for a long time, so I'd say this is fate, right? You'd be able to see Izuku a lot and go to school with him, and you'd never have to sleep outside again." Hitoshi just looks stunned, like it's too good to be true. He doesn't respond, and Oboro sighs, walking over to Izuku and putting a hand on his shoulder. "Izuku, do you mind if I step in for a second?" Oboro asks, and Izuku nods his approval, letting Oboro possess him. "Nem, you're laying it on a little thick there," Oboro says through Izuku's mouth, making everyone gasp. Izuku and Oboro have practiced possession enough times now that it sounds like Oboro when he's talking through Izuku, their shared eyes glowing, and Izuku's hair turning a light, cloudy blue. "Oboro?" Namuri asks, face pale. "Is that you?" "Yep," Oboro grins. "Izuku let me take over for a sec. Hey, Hitoshi, you're a cool kid. I've been looking out for Izuku for years, I promise. Namuri is really cool. I know you're scared and overwhelmed right now, but everyone just wants to help you out. Think you can give her a chance?" Hitoshi just stares, stunned, before nodding again as Oboro winks at him, stepping back out of Izuku's body. Izuku wavers a bit on the spot, grabbing his head before steadying himself. Everyone's just staring at him, and Izuku turns to Hitoshi with a smile. Yes, Hitoshi says quietly, turning to Namuri. "Yes, please." Namuri beams, reaching over to put a gentle hand on Hitoshi's shoulder, beaming down at him. Izuku's heart is happy. Hitoshi is going to a new home. He still has his niece on, even if he's a ghost, and he has two great dads. "You and I are going to have so much fun, kid." Namuri smiles at Hitoshi, and Izuku's heart soars. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 5 of Spirit. Chapter 6 will be up next. I hope you all are still enjoying, and as always, thank you so much for listening.